Clause 25 of the governance rules provides the following. This public meeting is being recorded to improve access to the meeting for our community. The recording will be published and will be retained by Council in accordance with Council's legal obligations. As a visitor to the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. I'll move to item number 1, which is acknowledgement. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which the rural City of Wangaratta communities reside. We pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging, and celebrate and respect their continuing cultures. Opening prayer. Almighty God, we humbly ask Thee to bless and guide this council in its deliberations so that we can truly preserve the welfare of the people whom we serve.
Amen.
We move to item number 5, acceptance of apologies or granting of leave of absence. We don't have any of those. Order of business, item number 7, which is the confirmation of the last minutes. Councillors, we've got a recommendation here that says that the council read and confirmed the minutes of the scheduled meeting on the 27th of May. Would someone like to move? Councillor Benton. Would someone like to second? Councillor Maxwell. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you. That's been moved. Item number 8, which is the conflict of interest disclosure, and we've got a number of those today. Myself being one of those for item 13.1, where I actually have a material conflict. My daughter is on the board of the Rovers. So, and Councillor Fuller has a general conflict of interest disclosure for item 13.1 and 15.4, and Councillor Winters has a conflict of interest disclosure on 13.1 general. Oh, well, do I?
I was just going to mention there that I also have a general conflict in item 13.1 because I have a volunteer role with that organisation and a family member who plays with them. We just probably need to ask Councillor Fuller and Winters to declare the nature of their conflicts on those items.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, regarding 13.1, a family member plays with the club in question, and regarding 15.4 is the general conflict of interest in regards to ownership regarding the applicant in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. I rushed at that. Councillor Winters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is in regards to agenda item 13.1. I have a general conflict of interest as a family member and volunteer coach, and another family member plays the Wangaratta Football Club. I also have a general conflict of interest as a family member has made one of the other budget submissions.
Thank you. That's our conflict of interest disclosures. We now move to item number 11, which is our councillor reports, and I believe Councillor Maxwell has a report to table today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I do. The report that I submit today is on our maternal child health, particularly our Sleep and Settling group program in Wangaratta. And it is with great trepidation that I deliver this report tonight, or this afternoon, to inform our community of the government's decision in the recent budget to cease funding for the maternal child health Sleep and Settling group program, which is currently delivered by the rural City of Wangaratta. This funding will cease effective at the 1st of July 2025. A letter of response to this decision has been sent to the Minister for Children, Minister for Disability, the Honourable Lizzie Lanthorn, MP. As an advocate and a staunch supporter of early intervention programs for many years, I know from experience the positive, lasting outcome for both immediate and extended families that this intervention can provide. Ensuring that parents have access to skills, knowledge and resources to help them adapt to those sleepless nights, unrest within the family home, and at times, a loss of an income. The Settle In and Sleep Group program provided that, and I'm extremely concerned what that now means for families who will no longer have access to the program through this council. Not only is this support effective for entire families, but it also provides opportunities for maternal child health workers to monitor changes in parents' emotional and social well-being. Without this support, there is a risk of increases in postnatal depression, family stress, anxiety, exhaustion, as well as relationship conflict. Our statistics show that 1 in 5 women will experience perinatal depression, which can last for months and even years after the arrival of a newborn. Dads are not exempt from this either. It is reported that 1 in 10 men will experience depression and anxiety after the birth of a child. Those statistics are probably much higher due to the lack of reporting specifically by men. To reduce these statistics, it is imperative that ongoing funding and resources are made available to those who require access to those sleep settling techniques. What is important to the team in maternal child health is having the opportunity to present anticipatory guidance for sleep and settling issues, giving consistent advice on typical sleep behaviour across developmental stages, and whilst also promoting secure attachment between the parent and the child. And can I just say that the importance of attachment between parents and their child can never be underestimated. Prevention of sleep issues is best supported by face-to-face contact and parent education at times of peak developmental change in childhood. This has been successfully implemented previously in our group-based sleep and settling program. Some withdrawal of group-based sleep and settling funding may have a significant impact on maternal child health services and the families we support. Approximately 250 birth notices in the rural city of Wangaratta for the 24-25 period shows you in the regional area we have an exceptionally high number of births. Approximately 107 first-time parents for that same period who were offered the Sleep and Settling group-based intervention. Sleep and Settling funding for the rural city of Wangaratta was $18,324, which supported 30 sessions over that same period. If this is something that you as a community, those here today, are passionate about, I would encourage you to write letters to both your local member and the Honourable Lizzie Blanthorne, expressing your support for the continuation of this group program. I thank the councillors for allowing me the opportunity to highlight this fundamental service within our maternal child health sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. That was a great report and certainly speaks to the need to support that with funding. Councillors, we need to, I'd like someone to move that we accept Councillor Maxwell's report. Ashley and Councillor Fitzpatrick has moved and Councillor Russell has seconded. Councillors, we all happy to accept the report? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. We move to item 13.1 and given my material conflict of interest, I will be handing the chair to my Deputy Councillor Benton and ask the other councillors to concur.
Thank you, Chair. Also reiterating my conflict of interest with 13.1, general in nature regarding a family member who plays for the club.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This agenda item, I have a general conflict of interest as a family member, as a volunteer coach, and another family member plays for the club. and also a separate general conflict of interest as a family member made the budget submission. Thank you.
And Mayor, I also have a general conflict as a volunteer of the club and having a family member playing football.
Okay, we'll move on to 13.1, which is the budget submissions, community submissions, and I'll hand over to Director Ridley to talk to the matter.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This item is really a precursor to the 2025-26 budget item. As you can see, there are various conflicts around the table, and by making a separate decision on these community submissions first, it enables all councillors to then participate in the decision and deliberations on next year's budget. This report provides officer recommendations in response to 2 community submissions. The first is regarding the WJ Findlay Oval female-friendly change room fit-out project, which is a request for $150,000 contribution via the Wangaratta Rovers Football and Netball Club, and that will assist in the construction of female-friendly change rooms. The club has been advised that they've been successful in securing $1.34 million of federal grant funding through the Play Our Way programme to do this work, and the officer recommendation is to contribute that further $150,000, which is intended primarily for the fit out of the change rooms on top of that project, and that would represent a great return on contribution for council and the community for that work to be done. And the second is a submission from a community member requesting improved seating and other community amenity at, she's called it the Pride Park project at the Rangeview Reserve, which is also recommended by council officers to support. So the recommendation for councillors to consider on these 2 items is first to consider those community submissions made as part of the 2025-26 budget and the officer recommendations, to authorise provision of $150,000 in the 2025-26 budget towards the WJ Findlay Oval female-friendly change room fit-out, and for that to be paid subject to the completion of a signed funding agreement between council and the Wangaratta Rovers Football and Netball Club, who are managing delivery of that project. And thirdly, authorising council to allocate funding from within the 2025-26 operating budget, once approved, to deliver seating and enhancements at Rangeview Avenue Reserve in response to the Park Pride submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Is there any questions from the gallery? Yes. State your name.
So Anne Dudson through the chair. Officer Brendan, can you confirm is the $150,000 a loan to the football club in regards to the budget submission that you went through from funding agreement with the football club?
No, this wouldn't be a loan, it would be a cash contribution.
Certainly. And are they contributing any funds towards this project itself? Or three-way funding?
No, they've attracted the 1.34, I think I said, million federal grant funding.
So it's only two-way funding, so it's not through the football club, so you create precedents with all sporting associations if they can get significant federal funding that you will potentially contribute without them having a monetary contribution to that funding project.
Director Gannon may have some more information in relation to the question of what contributions the club is doing.
I don't have the exact figures of what the club's contributing, but it is certainly significant from a in-kind point of view, given they are project managing the whole entire project. Just to speak to the precedents that we're setting, I think there's any
precedents we're setting with any of our budget requirements. We obviously base them on a number of different factors. This project certainly aligns with the Parklands Master Plan Council's commitments with regards to having facilities available for all genders and disabilities, etc. So it aligns and speaks to a number of council's various requirements under acts, etc. So this one very much fits into the mould of something that council would love to do. So I'm happy to provide a small amount of support to it from an officer's point of view, and obviously with council's approval to facilitate those various requirements.
It's not a criticism, it's just an understanding. And then I would assume that the football club's going to enter into a lease agreement to use that facility moving forward, because it'll be a council-owned facility, the football club using it back. So
That's exactly right.
To maintain it.
Yeah. That's exactly right. The council facility.
Yeah. Sorry, thank you very much for that.
Any other questions for Gary? No? Councillors, we have a recommendation in front of us. Someone who wish to move. Councillor Bustle, second Councillor Fitzpatrick. You want to speak? Councillor Bustle?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. I think this opportunity is a golden opportunity for Wangaratta, and it's a very small contribution from the council's point of view to get a facility that I would say is long overdue here. I'm more than happy to support great projects like this, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor? Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Chair. No, I just want to echo my colleague, Councillor Bustle's comments. Definitely happy to support great projects like this, and I look forward to projects like this coming to fruition. Thank you.
Any other councillor? You want to say any closing remark? Councillor Bustle?
Yeah, go to Rovers.
Is that a conflict of interest?
Being a man, okay, all those in favour? Against? Carried. So we can call the team back.
Okay, thank you, councillors. So I presume we can now move to 13.2, which is the budget for 2025-2026. You'll notice in the report that it mentions myself, Councillor Fuller and Councillor Winters, but given that that had been dealt with in the previous item, that's just a general extra bit of information that's not actually relevant to this particular item. So we'll move to the budget 2025-2026, and I'll hand over to the Director of Corporate and Leisure.
Thank you, Mayor, and I will clarify that this, the attached budget does include the 150,000 funding that was recommended in the previous item, so it's been prepared on that basis. So this report is presented to Council to consider adopting the attached 2025-26 budget. Every council is prepared to prepare an annual budget under the Local Government Act, and also to engage its community in the development of that budget. And this report also contains the other 52 community submissions that were received and the officer recommendations regarding those. Headline figures for the proposed budget for next year include an accounting surplus of 13.46 million, which comprises income of 99.7 million, total operating expenditure of 86.24 million, an underlying deficit of 2.5 million, a capital works programme of 23.63 million, which includes carryovers from this financial year, a rate rise of 3% in line with the Fair Go rates system for next year, and refinancing of maturing borrowings of 7.05 million. I'll hand to the Mayor to provide some further highlights in the proposed budget later, but in terms of the overall recommendation, and bear with me, this is a longer one. So the first is that Council considers the community submissions regarding the budget and considers and endorses the officer recommendations in relation to those, which include allocating further funds of 35,000 for the Birmingham Recreation Reserve shade sale, 17,000 for Merrill Park gardening and maintenance, 10,000 for the Wangaratta Jazz and Blues 2025 Jazz Awards, and 6,000 for 2 Steinway on-stage concerts with Goulburn and North East Arts Alliance. Also to instruct council officers to deliver 2 projects within the 2025 operating budget, being installation of club signage at the entrance to Merrill Park and renovation of the drain at the western end of the Merrill Park car park. And thirdly, that the council adopts the 2025 to 26 budget. Fourth, that it declares the rates and charges for the next financial year. Sixth, that it authorises officers to provide formal response to each submitter on the decisions with regard to their submissions. Sixth, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to give notice of the adoption of the budget, and finally authorises the refinancing of the 7.05 million of maturing borrowings during the next financial year. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Greenlee. Before we consider this particular item, is there a question from the audience tonight, or this afternoon at least? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation before us. Would someone like to move? Councillor Maxwell? Someone to second? Councillor Benton? Councillor Maxwell? Well, actually, it's, as the Mayor today, it's my prerogative to speak to this first off. And look, I have to say, I'm very pleased that we're in a position now to consider the 25-26 budget. This is our first as a new group, and it would not be remiss of me to say that it's been an absolute journey to bring this all together. There's been a lot of hard work by both the councillors, the community, and in particular the officers. We've spent many, many hours formulating, listening to our concerns, listening to the things that we wanted to see. It's a responsible and also very conservative budget, which, you know, I think in today's climate that's not unusual. It helps to provide us with essential funding to maintain our core services, which is what local government's all about. We've also allocated investment to ensure the delivery of our key priorities. It also seeks to be considerate of cost of living pressures on residents, and that's something that we've taken a lot of time over to consider how this will impact on the community. And it's interesting in the conversations that I've had with the community, that people are interested in seeing services, and they're prepared to pay for those services if they see that those services make their lives better and easier. This budget, of course, responds to the restrictive economic conditions and increasing financial pressures as we move forward. Officers have taken the time to review all service areas and initiatives to look for opportunities where we might improve the budget, and we'll certainly work with the officers to ensure that you know, if there's any fat somewhere, we have to find a way of you know, trimming that from the budget. So, that being said, I'd like to wrap up by also, you know, again, thanking the community for the input that they've made into the budget. You know, this isn't something that we do in isolation. It's something that we are very much aware of what the community is telling us, and I believe, and while the budget is lean, I think the budget will be able to provide us with the services that we require, and you know, continue to ensure that Wangaratta is the place where we all want to live. So I'd like to thank everyone again for their time and effort, and I'd certainly like to thank my councillor colleagues for all the discussion that we've had. It's never easy to arrive at total agreement because we've all got, priorities that we'd like to see up there. But I think, the conversations and discussions that we've had have been fruitful and productive, and I thank everyone for their effort. And so, the 2025-2026 budget is now ready for your consideration. So, Councillor Maxwell, would you like to speak to?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, absolutely. And apart from reiterating what our Mayor has just said and the amount of work that has gone into this budget, I'd just like to take this opportunity to paint a picture, because some people think when you deliver a budget, it's about the numbers. And whilst that is absolutely correct in part, it's also about being able to have the insight and the foresight to understand the impact on our community that budget will have. And in saying that, we need to be able to look really in depth at the services that we provide to this community. Are they sustainable? Are they serving their purpose? Assets, are they fit for purpose? There's a broad plethora of considerations that we have to make during this process. We have to ensure that we give genuine consideration to every line item that is within this budget. And we have done so with due diligence, debate, patience, respect, and a lot of questions. I know that some of the councillors here have called out for meetings, whether it be with the director, the CEO, and that's imperative for us when we don't know or understand something, particularly within the budget, that we reach out so that when we make this final decision to sign off on this, we have a true understanding of what it not only means for us as a council, but what it means for our community. And of course, the one thing that we never want to do is to jeopardise our service delivery. We want to ensure that we can remain financially sustainable council. So I thank all my colleagues here, the directors, officers, staff, and everyone who has contributed to putting this budget together. Like I said, it wasn't easy, but I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to help deliver my first budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Benson, would you like to?
Just to reiterate what has been said, but I will say that I think the fundamentals of what we've been able to achieve in this budget is to keep the things that are important to the community and the services that we provide without being too grandiose going forward, because the constraints within the economic area have been able to do that, as we all know, and I don't have to repeat that, it's on every news item you see around about the economy going forward, and we've got to be able to keep ourselves efficient enough to be able to provide just the services we're going forward, and as I've said, and absolutely we've been able to do a few things. Naturally, there's going to be people disappointed. I think over the 21 years that I've been in local government, there hasn't been a budget go through that somebody hasn't been disappointed in what's been achieved. But I think we've done what we can for the community with what we've got. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Councillor Benson. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Russell?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I want to thank all the people that contributed to the budget. There's a lot of work in that. But in this economic climate, it really concerns me with any rate rises, and I consider this a large rate rise. I don't believe it's sustainable to raise rates year on year on year. No other business can do that. In the future, we need to share some pain like the rest of the people in the real world. I will support this budget, but I must say I'm unlikely to support any further rate rises in this council term over the next three budgets. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Winters.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. As outlined in the agenda, the ongoing impact of inflation has continued to significantly affect council's ability to deliver services. The rising cost of materials and services we procure have exceeded the rate cap for several consecutive years. However, despite these challenges, I'm mindful of the cost of living pressures that many people in our community are facing. I want to take a moment to remind our community that support is available. The Rural City of Wangaratta has processes in place to assist ratepayers experiencing financial hardship, particularly I'd like to encourage pensioner, concession card, veteran affairs, gold card holders and anyone doing it tough to reach out for support. I'll be honest, I don't love this budget and the process has been incredibly challenging. My fellow councillors and council staff have had to answer my many questions and hear my many concerns. But I take seriously my responsibility to ensure the financial sustainability of the organisation and that we can continue delivering essential services now and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Councillor Fuller.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I'm echoing my colleagues in this instance. Yes, the cost of living is impacting us and it does impact this budget. We've tried very hard to maintain a nice even keel and to work with the community that have come to us with options and ideas and to meet those needs as best possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Fitzpatrick.
I think my colleagues have summed it all up.
Yeah, and I think, yes, the general discussion is we are very, very conscious of the pressures, but we're also conscious of the need to continue to provide services, and that's been the actual conflict, if we can describe it that way, that we've had to consider in terms of how we frame this budget. And the Rural City of Wangaratta is one of the largest employers in the community, and we have a responsibility to not only the community but also to the organisation to look at ways that we can move forward and be sustainable into the future. So, councillors, we have a recommendation that's been moved by Councillor Maxwell and seconded by Councillor Benton. Is everyone in agreement? Thank you, councillors. The recommendation becomes the motion.
Madam Mayor, didn't we have time for a question there?
Oh, I did ask at the beginning. Perhaps we can, save that for
I'd
general.
like to make a comment if you wouldn't mind.
A question, you can address that at question time. Thank you, Mr. Fox. All right.
All right.
Councillors, now we move to item number 14.1.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, you're saying that I can't ask a question.
I said we're moving to the next item. I did ask it at the beginning.
Oh, you don't know.
Yeah. And I said you could ask the question in public question time.
Thank you, and I will. That might be my third question.
If that's deemed appropriate. All right, councillors, we will now move to item number 15.1, which is the events and attractions strategy. The Director of Sustainability and Culture, please.
Thank you. The events and attraction strategy sets out Council's future intentions in the support and delivery of events within the municipality. The strategy provides direction on decision making, event opportunities, goals and aspirations for the delivery of council events, attraction of events and the support of community events. This report is presented to Council to adopt the events and attraction strategy. The draft strategy was exhibited for community feedback, and some feedback was received during the exhibition period. That feedback has now been considered as detailed within this report, and officers recommend that Council adopt the events and attraction strategy.
Thank you, Director Swart. Before we consider this particular recommendation, does anyone have a question from the audience? Okay, councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Fuller? And Councillor Winters, thank you. Councillor Fuller, do you wish to speak to the recommendation?
Thank you, Chair. Just reiterating thanks to the team and officers that have worked on this strategy. It's a good strategy and looking forward to seeing it implemented over the future. Thank you.
Councillor Winters, no. Does any other councillor wish to speak to the recommendation? Councillor wish to speak against it? If not, Councillor Fuller has moved and Councillor Winters has seconded. Is there any agreement? Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 15.2, which is local law number 1, community amenity 2025, and Director of Sustainability and Culture.
Thank you. Council's current local law number 1 came into operation in 2018 and is due for review. As part of the review process, a draft new local law was prepared and publicly exhibited. Submissions received have been considered and appropriate amendments have been made to the draft local law as detailed within the report. Officers recommend that Council resolve to make the local law and adopts the associated waste management policy.
Thank you, Director Swart. We've got before I move to councillors, does anyone have a question on this particular item? If not, councillors, we had a recommendation. Would someone like to move that, please? Councillor Fitzpatrick? Councillor Fuller? Councillor Fitzpatrick, would you like to speak to that? This is it, it is, and long and drawn out, yes. Councillor Fuller, do you wish to speak? Does anyone wish to speak against it? Yes. No, for it. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was a little concerned with the local law, how it was written with the movement of livestock on public roads, but having gone through that extensively with the council officers, I'm very, very happy that it's all there, just got a little bit harder. So it's good for farmers to move their livestock. Thank you.
It's a very detailed document. So councillors, Councillor Fitzpatrick to move and Councillor Fuller to second. Is everyone in agreement? Thank you. The recommendation becomes the motion. Councillors, we now move to item number 15.3, which is the community engagement policy and Director of Sustainability and Culture.
Thank you. Council's existing community engagement policy was adopted in 2020. A review of the policy has been completed and a new draft policy was made available for public comment from the 27th of March to the 5th of May this year. The policy sets out Council's intentions for the support and delivery of community engagement and a commitment to the engagement principles within the Local Government Act. One submission was received requesting a change to the policy. The submission has been considered as detailed in this report. Officers now recommend that Council adopts the policy.
Thank you, Director Swart. Does anyone have a question on this particular item from the audience? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move Councillor Winters? Someone to second? Councillor Maxwell? Councillor Winters, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to take a moment to thank our staff and community for all their feedback throughout this process and the staff for all the work that they've done to put together this policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Councillor Maxwell?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to say that having the opportunity as a community to be able to provide this feedback is an ongoing challenge for council, particularly for staff. Our officers worked incredibly hard at doing this. And I'm going to be a little bit controversial here, if I may, Madam Mayor. We do know that when we have community consultation, when people write down something that they would like to see happen in the community, sometimes that is just not going to happen for many various reasons. But what we encourage the community to do is, if you feel that something that you have put forth as a community wish, is to go and get other groups of people who are like-minded, who would like to see the same, and put forward a case outside of community engagement. That's imperative within communities to learn and understand why people may want something different than what was actually mentioned or supported through community engagement. I think sometimes it's very difficult when one person may become very prominent on social media saying that the community didn't listen to us. But it may be that the suggestion put forward wasn't sustainable, it wasn't allowable, or that we just were not able to deliver it. So I do ask, when you go to community engagement, and I encourage everyone to participate in community engagement, to ensure that your voice is heard and to then make contact with the respective officers to continue that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maxwell, and certainly community consultation is at the heart of what we do, and I would say, being involved in local government for a very long time, I think the thing that I have seen that engagement is both formal and informal, that it doesn't have to be through a particular process. I mean, the number of times I've been in the supermarket where people come up to you and talk to you about something that's on their mind or something that they would like to share with you. So engagement is what councillors do, and I think this policy just reinforces our commitment to it. So, councillors, we have now a recommendation that Councillor Fuller, I think.
Sorry, Chair. Thank you.
I got carried away there.
One of the most important tools in this kit of community engagement is our Connect Wangaratta site, and I encourage all to get on there and register and stay in touch with us via that portal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. So Councillor Winters has moved and Councillor Maxwell has seconded. There was no one else that wished to speak on this particular recommendation? Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you very much. That's been carried. We now move to planning application number 24095.
Sorry, I'll just reiterate my conflict of interest and leave the room before we begin.
Absolutely.
General in nature in regards to the ownership of the building where the application applies. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me, Councillor Fuller. So councillors now 10.4, which is the planning application number 24095, corner of Murphy and Reed Streets, Wangaratta electronic promotion signage. Does anyone from the audience have a particular question before we deliberate? If not, Director of Sustainability and Culture, please.
Thank you again. The planning permit application seeks approval of an electronic promotion sign and a secondary smaller sign on the building at number 56 Murphy Street in the CBD of Wangaratta. The application was advertised and referred to authorities, and no public objections were received. Council's technical services team and the Department of Transfer has consented to the application subject to conditions, but Council's heritage advisor does not support the application. A detailed assessment of the application against the provisions of the Wangaratta planning scheme has been completed and is attached to the council report in the agenda. Officers recommend refusal of the application based on the 10 grounds provided in the assessment report, including unacceptable urban design, heritage and road safety outcomes.
Thank you, Director Sport. Councillors, considering the application. Questions on this particular item to the audience? Councillors.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move an alternative motion, excuse me. The council grants the planning permit for 24095, subject to the attached conditions to the permit. Thank you.
Councillors, have we got someone to second?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Benton, would you like to speak to the alternative motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I think it's this application has come before us. believe in this day and age, this is where we're heading with, in relationship to advertising. We actually use it ourselves in certain other areas, and I know we pay for digital advertising. We also have other digital advertising, not particularly within the CBD, but we have other digital advertising within the municipality of the urban area of Wangaratta. I don't think we have a question in my mind in relation to the heritage issue. This is a rather modern building that's going on to, so I find that a little bit of a quandary to me in relationship to the Heritage Act. The only one particularly in relation to the transport that has been put up by the officers, it's been in relation to the transport objections relating to transport. Being in the area, it is at a traffic lights intersection. I know we had one previous years a roundabout, and I felt that that did distract also where this location is. And I'm just asking for our council to support the motion or the recommendation that I'll do.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Councillor Russell, would you like to speak?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. It's 2025, digital's everywhere. It's a very, very effective way of advertising business, and I certainly put business first because that's where the opportunity starts. So, I think that this is a great form of advertising. We'll have to support it.
Thank you, Councillor. So, would anyone else like to speak to it or for? Councillor Winters?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am speaking against this alternative motion. While I appreciate that the alternative motion includes several conditions intended to mitigate risk, such as reduced number of lumens at night and content restrictions to avoid confusion with traffic signals, these measures don't fully address the core concerns that have been raised by council officers, and I believe their recommendation for refusal is the right one. The intersection already presents challenges for road users. Even with the proposed conditions, the risk to road safety remains, particularly in terms of visual distraction and reduced driver focus at a location that requires heightened attention. There's also a character issue here. While the main street might not be traditionally beautiful, it does have a quiet charm and character, especially at night with the lighting and the trees along Murphy Street. And the signage, in my view, would detract from that character, and I feel like it's a step in the wrong direction for our town's identity. Finally, we have to think about precedent. If we support this, even with conditions, we open the door for similar applications in equally unsuitable locations. For those reasons, I won't be supporting the alternative motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Would anyone else like to speak either for or against? I guess, the decision we make today doesn't actually create a precedent. Each planning decision is considered on its merits. So, councillors, we have a motion that's been moved by Councillor Benton and seconded by Councillor Bustle. Those in support? The motion's been carried. Councillor
Madam Mayor, there's no opportunity for a comment from the government.
I asked that at the beginning.
Oh, really?
Councillor Winters, do you want to be called a division? No? Have you just say that more? You oppose? Sure. Yeah, okay. You have a division. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll do that again. So those in favour? Those against?
Should we recognize?
Do I have to do that? So, Councillor Fitzpatrick, Councillor Maxwell, Councillor Benton, myself and Councillor Bustle are in favour, and Councillor Winters is opposed. So thank you. We can call Councillor Fuller back into the meeting. So we've got item number 16, which is there aren't any special committee reports. Advisory Committee report item number 17 and item number 18, which is the minutes of the Advisory Committee meetings, 18.1 minutes of Advisory Committee meetings. Would someone like to, Councillor Benton, someone to second please? Councillor Fitzpatrick. Everyone in agreement? No questions. We move now to item number 19, with no notices of motion, no urgent business. Item number 21, which is public question time. And again, I'd like to reiterate protocols around public question time. We certainly encourage people to ask questions, but we also encourage you to submit the questions in advance, if that's possible. Question time is a time for questions. It's a chance, to get clarification on a particular issue. It's not the opportunity to make statements other than briefly in context to your question. The questions are being directed to me as the chair and not to individual councillors or staff, although staff will, in many instances, respond. Please be respectful. Question time is not an opportunity for debate, and every person is allowed to ask only 2 questions. And questions will be taken on notice if we're not able to answer them here tonight. So I already have some questions. Yes, yeah. And yes, we'll do the questions on notice from last week. We had Jennifer Garrett who asked the following question at the May Council meeting, which was taken on notice, and she asked how many properties in the rural city of Wangaratta currently have 2 rate notices for exactly that same property, i.e. 1 folio, 1 title, 1 size. And so I will ask Director Brindley to provide a response to that particular question.
Yes, thank you. Jennifer here. So thank you, Jennifer, for your question, and that was taken on notice at last month's meeting. This question asks about how many properties have more than 1 rates notice against the same property. And that can occur in various circumstances. Examples would be a property like the Coastal, which would have multiple rating assessments under the 1 title against each of the individual tenancies and the shops at those addresses. Or, for example, where you have multiple units on 1 block of land where each unit would have its own rates assessment, but they'd all sit under the 1 title. Council has over 16,600 rates assessments, and given the volume, the only way to really identify and specifically answer Ms. Garrett's question is to go manually through all of those. So it's just not been feasible to give a specific answer to that question. What I will confirm though is that since this question at the last council meeting, the rates team have worked directly with Ms. Garrett to answer her questions relating more specifically to how rates are applied to her particular property. That's private information, so I won't go into that here, but can confirm these inquiries have now been responded to Ms. Garrett directly.
Thank you, Director Brindley. From last meeting, Trevor Wherry, who's here today, asked the following question at the May meeting, which was taken on notice, and I do believe that there was some discussion with you, Trevor, at the last meeting, and the question was that Wanganderi is not included on the list of bins. And does that mean I won't get bins when Waldara, Killawarra and Peachtree will? And Director Goonan spoke with Trevor directly. Do you want to just perhaps update on your brief conversation, please?
I can. There is a small section of Wanganderi that is included, which is in the new northwest growth area. Wanganderi wasn't specifically called out on the list.
Thank you, Director Goonan. Question 3, Adrian Fox submitted the following questions for the meeting today, and one was directed to me and Director Swart, the The first question was that the Wangaratta Chronicle dated the 25th of November 2024 quoted you as saying, I'm still paying with coins and there are many apps to use nowadays and I find the Parking Act just adds to the stress I feel and I don't need that. Well, the first thing I would say in response to that is I've come a long way since the 25th of November 2024. So, you know, we're all getting used to the idea of apps in all our life. And have I downloaded the Easy Park app? Yes, I have. But I'm also very, very cognizant of the many opportunities for free parking around the CBD, which might mean that I have to walk a little bit further, but I take advantage of that as well. So the options are there. The second question was quarterly reporting on the implementation of the current paid parking policy was advised at the February 25 council meeting. Is the first quarterly report available, please? Yes, Director Swart.
Thank you for your question. Part of the council decision about the CBD car parking payment system in February was that council receives quarterly updates on how the approved system is progressing and functioning. Councillors have been briefed regularly about the progress and implementation of the approved payment system since the decision in February. While more formal reporting will commence once the full implementation of the new system, including updated signage and education, has been completed, it is not intended to submit quarterly reports to council meetings. A review report will be submitted to council in June next year as required by the February council resolution.
Thank you, Director Swart. And the fourth question is from Cassandra Pollock, who submitted the following question for the June council meeting, which Director Goonan will reply. The question is, I wish to commend the council for incorporating into the events and attraction strategies a commitment to eliminate the purchase and distribution of single-use plastics for council events. In relation to this, could an update be provided as to what stage council is at with engaging a dedicated waste education officer? Director Goonan.
Following an unsuccessful recruitment campaign for the Waste Education Officer position, the role was reviewed. A new position, the Waste Project Officer, was created. This retains the responsibilities for the waste education, while also encompassing broader project work within the waste portfolio. This position has since been advertised and successfully filled.
Thank you, Director Goonan. Now we go to the audience. If anyone has a question for council, would you come forward, state your name and ask the question.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Microphone, Mr. Fox.
Brian Fox, and I speak on behalf of the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. I must say I'm really disappointed that a lot of conversation and decisions have been made regarding parking and no consultation with the Chamber of Commerce has been had. That's not a question, I'll just make a statement on that, Madam, and I would like that not to continue. The new blue bin system I see as a wonderful opportunity to think laterally about the pickup. Council has on file a proposal from me to have the bins picked up on a needs basis. I understand that the bins will be supplied free of charge. However, I need to ask who pays to pick them up? And if we're going to pick them up 4 times a year, there is more than 1,000 bins. So we're going to have 4,000 pickups. Are there any savings for us in the blue bin system that will ameliorate this cost? By taking the glass out of the waste, are we going to have some savings that will pay for the truck to go around and pick up 4,000 bins?
Your question, Mr. Fox, is...
No, excuse me, madam. I believe that this is serious enough for you to give me just a little bit of tolerance.
But I'm asking what your question is.
From the budget, I understand the cost of picking up a bin is approximately $5 plus. We can expect an expense item in future budgets of $20,000 to pick up the bins. Savings mode in this area may even pay for free parking. So my question, Madam, I'm asking Council to do two things. Leave the blue bin implementation till a minute to midnight. I understand the legislation says that we must have it done by 2027. Well, at my last look at the calendar, it's only 2025. Let's not do it till the year after next. So that's my first question.
And can we answer that question for you now?
Yeah,
and they're purple bins, and one of the reasons that the council was keen to accept the take-up of this particular process was that the bins would be provided through the government, free of charge, and I'll ask Director Goonan to explain the process around the actual collection, which will be done on a quarterly basis, and that will be absorbed into the costs of collection across the municipality. But Councillor, Director Swart, I'll ask you to just provide a little bit more detail to Mr. Fox.
Happy to. Hello, everyone. Good.
So
The question that you've asked me was with regards to the budget costings for 25-26. In the 25-26 budget, Council will be collecting the purple lidded bins, which are the lids for glass for free. With regards to savings on our waste charges, the collection of glass and the removal of glass from our commingled recyclables makes that product, so what's left over, the plastic, the cardboard and the paper, much more valuable as a product. So it means we get less increases from the contractor who collects those. We're lucky enough in this municipality to have our own service vehicles that allow us to collect the glass ourselves. So we're able to reduce some of the costs that other municipalities have around glass collection because we can complete those works in-house. As Mayor Grant was pointing out, the reason to go now with the glass collection is the funding that is on the table from the state government at the moment, which means that the bins don't cost ratepayers anything. If we delay that any further, that funding will be off the table and therefore we will have to put a charge on for the bin service itself.
I'd rather pay for the bin and let them pay for the ongoing costs of picking them up.
Okay.
Never mind.
Mr. Fox, your second question.
I'm not finished with that question. I'm asking, will we go to the point of just having a rational discussion about having the bins picked up on a needs basis?
I think we've had this discussion with you before,
Yes,
Mr. Fox, and I don't think, in economic terms, to do that on an as-needs basis would be something that council could entertain, and I think that's been explained to you before.
When we explained that before, Madam Mayor, that was before the blue bin thing appeared on screen. That was talking about the green waste. And I was told that it wouldn't work because we had combustible deteriorating food products in amongst the green waste, and it wouldn't work. Now we have a totally different situation where we're picking up glass that is it doesn't deteriorate in any way, it doesn't smell, doesn't do anything. So let's have a discussion.
Mr. Fox, I have given you our response, which has been given to you on many occasions previously. So I will ask you to ask your second question, and if you don't have a second question, I ask you to sit down.
Thank you, Madam. I do have a second question. I'm asking that all council registered motor vehicles have an identity logo attached. Will you consider that?
I think, Mr. Fox, we have considered that, and I'm not sure what the actual benefit would be. So, Director Goodwin?
All council vehicles do actually have a little council logo.
It does too, absolutely, you're right. Yeah.
So they are marked.
Yes. Absolutely right. No, absolutely.
You know, Madam Mayor, that I'm talking about the 18-inch by 10.
Yeah, well, that's what I was responding
And
to.
that's what I say as a citizen, that should be on every council motor vehicle, be it a tractor or a passenger car. I'm asking, will you consider that? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience, please? Come forward, state your name and direct the question to the meeting, please.
Tom. Thank you, Mayor. Adrian Fox. I know that the parking policy was not mentioned in the budget session today, but however, Councillor Maxwell did say that we need to look at every line item. And also you mentioned that we need to make sure that each line item is fit for purpose and that we have the true understanding of what that budget item means to the community. So I don't want to have a big discussion about the understanding of that to the community here, but just to get to a question, I wanted to know what is the expected income from paid parking in the 25-26 year, please?
Okay, well, I'll ask Director Swart to provide a spot response to that, please.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't have that number in front of me, so I will have to take that question on notice. I will note a few things about expected income when it comes to like car parking and the trends that we've seen over the last few years. As you can imagine, during COVID, that's one of the areas that dropped off because, it simply wasn't a priority for council. And that was followed by a period where our system wasn't working the way it should have, hence we needed to make a decision about replacing that system. So the car parking over those periods of time would be lower than if you compare to the period of time before COVID. I will find that number for next financial year and I can provide that to you. Thank you.
Yep, I recall you saying, I think it was the 23-24 year, you said it was 317,000 at the previous meeting. And I expect that, well, we've had the bags on the machine. We haven't had any income for 6 months in this calendar year, so I couldn't imagine it being more than half of that figure.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, no, that's it.
Thank you very much. Is there any other questions from the audience, please?
I have one if you like it.
No, you've had your 2 questions. If there aren't any other questions tonight, I would like to thank everyone for their attendance and their participation, and I will formally close the meeting.
Now, Madam Mayor, that you've closed the meeting, I can say whatever I like. When I walk in down the front door, you have got commercial television on the backdrop behind the reception, either ABC, TV or Channel